Good morning and welcome back to our demonstration area. So today we're going to be making pepperoni rolls, which is an example of a yeast spread. And if you recall from the Chef Howard video, Somewhere South, she classified them as being little mini hand pies. So the recipe that we're using calls for active dry yeast, and you want to make sure that you use the correct yeast. Some yeast would say rapid yeast. This is an active dry. We want to make sure that you use the correct one. It also calls for kosher salt. So I've pre-measured out some salt into my container, olive oil, sorghum syrup. Now, if you don't have that, you could probably replace it with like molasses or honey. And then 1 cup of water, warm water. Anything that exceeds 129 degrees would kill the yeast, so you want to be very careful. And then you want to make sure you have all-purpose flour. So to begin this, you want to put in your water 2 1/8 teaspoon of yeast, and let that set for about 5 minutes. And while that's setting, we're going to combine our flour, salt, into our mixing container. So we need 2 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. So that's 2, and then 1/4 3 times gives us 3/4. So that's 1, 2, that's 2 3/4 cups of flour, and we're going to set the flour aside in case we need it for anything else. Then the recipe says that we need 1 teaspoon of butter. No, excuse me, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, which we'll add to that. To our yeast mixture, we're going to add olive oil, which is 1 teaspoon's worth of olive oil. And then we need 1 teaspoon of sorghum syrup. And you can get this at Whole Foods. Sometimes you can get it at a local farmer's market. And this is just going to replace the sugar that you typically would use in the recipe. All right. In our mixer, we have our dough hook attachment. Add it to our mixer. We have our flour and salt in here. I'm gonna raise this up, and we're just gonna do a quick stir on it. And while that's stirring, we're gonna add our yeast mixture. To our flour. And we're going to let that go for about 5 to 10 minutes. Throughout the mixing process, you want to make sure you scrape down the sides so that way everything gets incorporated. So again, make sure you scrape your sides down. Lift it back up. Start it on slow. And then you're going to eventually increase the speed. And as you've noticed, it's starting to come together in the mixer. Now at this stage, we're going to put a little oil into a bowl. And our dough should need it for about 5 minutes in using the mixer. So we're going to go ahead and release it. You know that your dough is ready when it starts pulling from the sides of the mixing bowl, which my dough started doing. And you can see that the dough is ready if and when you touch it, it springs back. And if it doesn't, then you can continue to do a little kneading manually. And if you want to knead manually, you push it away, fold it, push it away, fold it, push it away. Again, your goal is to develop the gluten. See, now it does bounce back. So at this stage, we're ready to put our dough in our greased bowl. I use a little, when I say greased, I mean oiled. So we're gonna put it in some olive oil. And then we're gonna place it on top of the stove for the next 45 minutes. And it's going to allow it to proof. And once it finishes proofing, then we're ready to form. And then I'll have to go through another stage of proofing, which we'll talk about in a few moments. Take a few moments and just show you our dough. It's starting to rise. So it's almost doubled in size. And so it's going to continue to do so for the next 17 minutes still. We still need 17 minutes for it to continue to rise. And then we'll do the shaping process. So what I like to do when I'm proofing my dough, I like to get a damp towel, put it over the bowl, and keep the damp towel over the dough while it's in its warm setting. So now our dough has doubled in size, and so we're ready to just lightly press. We're going to release the CO2 from out of the dough, and we're ready to begin shaping the dough into what it's going to be used for. Now, of course, you do want to be careful that when it's in its warm spot, that we don't cook the dough in the process of proofing it. So what we're going to do, we're going to make, like I said, those pepperoni rolls. And so we're going to take our dough, like so. And I went to the store and bought some sliced pepperoni. And we're going to put pepperoni in it. I like to add cheese to mine. Meaning that I'm a West Virginia boy. So I'm going to use a little pepper jack cheese. And then we're going to fold. And then we'll pinch the dough until rolls are the way we want them. Grab a pan from underneath. And put some non-stick spray on our pan. And then we'll place our rolls on the pan. And we're going to do this several times until our dough is completely used. So again, pinch off our dough, add our pepperoni. Now I have thinly sliced pepperoni. And what I like to do is when I put it on the pan, I put the pinch side down so that way it doesn't pop open during the baking process. So now we're down to our last 2 pepperoni rolls to be shaped. I'm using about 4 to 5 slices of pepperoni in each roll. And I have both mozzarella and pepper jack cheese for them. And again, I'm just going to do a quick fold, and then we're going to roll. And then we'll pinch off the ends like so. And put the pinched end down on the pan. All right, so at this stage, we have our pepperoni rolls panned and shaped. You want to make sure that there's no ends that are open, because if they are, then they will pop open during the proofing stage in the baking. So they need to proof again for about 45 minutes. So we take our damp towel, cover our pan, and we're going to put them on top of the stove so that they can proof additionally. So you'll notice our dough has started to double in size. We're going to let that go for about 15 more minutes, and then we're going to place them in the oven. It's set to 350, and we're going to bake them for 15 to 20 minutes. We'll check them after 20 minutes, and then if they need to go longer, then we'll let them go in for a little bit longer. Again, a light tap on them to see if they're done. And then we're going to go ahead and remove them from the oven and brush them with a little butter.